Okay, while I'm out here I just want to try and show you some good practice techniques for you to give a go to get used to your balance, coordination of the staff. This one I think is just key for when you're moving on to contact, to get used to the feel of the staff. I've got my centre point, I'm probably about 5 inches away on either side of that. Hands just by my hips. What I'm going to do is the stools, going to lift. Okay, looks like it's easy, but it's not. So we're drawing an arch up and over to the other side. If you take your left hand and just support it, but don't hold it, and we lift out in front of us, going slightly forwards, curve in a semicircle. And when you get to this end point, you just kind of give it a little bounce to support. If you go too hard, you'll just tap up and you can lock up between your body and your wrist and your arm. So it's better really to put too much energy into it and lock, and to not put enough and just find you're always getting this end too heavy and you're dropping the staff all the time. So really bring it over and lock. Okay, as I do this now, you can see that this centre point starts between the hands and it's pivoting from this point. So we're taking it as if we're drawing a circle, a semicircle over this centre point, and when we stop, can you see the centre point is in the middle between my wrist and my armpit, my shoulder. So, and if I get that well placed in the centre, I can stool for a bit longer. If we're taking it behind your back, your palms always face down, by the way, in this. Never turn your wrist over, never face your palm up. Try not to get in the habit of supporting with the underneath of the staff with your wrist turned over. It's really not comfortable and it doesn't look good. So palm facing down the whole time. Maybe push your fingers out, curving your hand like this to stop the staff rolling away. If you have your hand too far down, the staff's going to roll off it. If you have it too far up, it's just going to get tied up too quickly. So if we start with our hands out in front of us and turn, so more like you're doing a strike. And you can see, if I use my legs and hips in this manner, the staff stays much more isolated from myself and it's just spinning in the same point. So it'll look a lot neater, but it's a lot more effort. Is it worth it? You decide. These exercises come particularly useful when doing fishtails, moving on to the 2 beats, 3 beats, and for turning with fishtails. So I'll just show you the turn. If we're off centre, exactly the same as we've been doing, like this. So you can swing it down, round, fishtail. Good little tip for when doing this exercise: the closer to the middle you are, the less the staff's going to spin, the less it's going to pivot from that point. The further away you are, the quicker it's going to turn. So if you find that the staff is moving too quickly and you're really chasing after it, bring your hand a bit closer to the centre. If on the other hand you find it's not really lifting up the opposite end enough, try moving your hand a bit further away from the centre. So I'll just demonstrate with what I think is too far away. So it's okay, you have to do a very quick, large movement to make it work, and too close. Again, a very large movement and a lot of effort to get it to do a small motion really, and it's not going to be as nuts, it's not going to be as tidy. This comes in very handy when doing it behind your back, getting used to the feel of the staff, that if you're going behind your back and it's already come up too far, or if you're fighting for it, try moving your hands so you're a bit closer to the middle maybe, so it's slow, and you can keep up with it, you can really work it at your own pace. Good luck. Going to be looking at the reverse fishtail today. This is the first step for taking spinning into contact. I'm going to start with a 1 beat. Take your staff for the middle, like you're doing a normal 1 beat, and observe. So we're doing the reverse. Now we can do this pretty much without gripping, but just having a very loose hold in the centre staff. So obviously you want to have your reverse 1 beat down well first. And then we're going to be rocking it onto the back of our right hands, spinning it clockwise. Once it comes down onto your wrist over to your left side, you just pull your arm to behind you. Just do that, just pull your arm to behind you. As I do this, I'm making an arch. And then you can just let it wrap over and grab it on the other side. So palm up, over, take behind, catch. To keep the control over it and not have to rush around, not move very quickly, I like to think of this as like in a martial sense. If you're doing an upper block with your forearm, you push the arm in a curve up and away from yourself, from your hips to your third eye. So I'm going to balance the staff on the centre point of my wrist, but with forwards flow. So this is a figure of 8. We're going to take it up, drop down, scoop up in front again. To keep the control of this very well, you just see my right hand is going to always be crossing in front of my face here at the same point. It's because I'm aiming at this point. So I'm always striking that point with my palm, and then pulling it in, striking, pulling it in, striking. So I'll show you again from this side. Start doing a ward off, basically in Tai Chi, doing a ward off. 1, keeping a smooth figure of 8. So even now I'm looking at the camera, but I'm still focusing on this key point in front of my face, and I'm always going to be taking my hand to that point. So that's the reverse fishtail. If you want to swap hands, I mean you want to practice on both sides, if you want to swap hands in the movements, because it's a reverse, we can't just take it over to the other side. That'll take you into a forwards tail. So you can do this simply by turning 180 and giving it an extra little half beat. So if I'm crossing over to the 180, I start with the black in front and the white behind. This will change when I do the 180, because I'm going to have to give it a little hop over so the staff turns with me. We're both turning 180 degrees. So black in front, white behind, turn 180, hop it over, We're going to be looking at the 2-beat fishtail now. The reason I'm doing this, I just saw a tutorial on the 2-beat fishtail using the regular fishtail into a inwards fishtail where you're doing it on the inside of your wrists. So something like this. A little bit tricky, I find. We always you have to hop it onto the underside, take it over, hop it onto the other side. And also I feel it looks a little bit like you're holding it. I think other spinners will understand, but general public, they're just going to think that you're turning it over, holding it, turning it over. So also I find it a bit more awkward than just doing, I don't know if you've done this exercise, just taking it over and doing stalls. So if you do a regular reverse fishtail, then as it comes in front, bring the other side over into this stall. So you take it behind one beat, bring it in front, and then using the backhand by the little finger, scoop it round. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So it's the same as doing it from the reverse to the inward, but instead of hunching over like this, you're just keeping a neat straight pose. The star flows more, you're not having to bounce it around. So I'll just show you again to the side. 1, 2, 1, 2, 2, 1. Whoop. The key to this is keeping on the center point very much, because as you're changing over and coming back, it's easy to go off center and then you're going to lose it completely. You can literally feel it rocking over. Okay. Okay, so again, we're literally just doing the reverse, over into an arm lock, and then you're elbowing out behind you really to bring the bottom end up to prevent you going to a 3-beat, which we'll talk about in a second. So I'm pushing that elbow out. As you can see, I've got the white end here. So the white end comes down, I pull the white end up behind me, the white end comes in front, pull the white end up behind me. I find that gives it a nice fluid motion, pulls the staff back on itself from the direction of the first beat. Okay, I've just been looking for a 3-beat fishtail tutorial, which I've not been able to find. So I'm going to try and show you how I try to do a 3-beat fishtail, but I haven't quite figured it out yet. So if you know, feel free to comment, put up another video of your own to let me know. I guess the best way to show you, again, from this kind of exercise of being off center, doing the stalls. We take this and get a lock. So the end that starts on my left comes up, tucks into my armpit on the right, and I'm using the back of my knuckles on this hand, palm facing towards me, to really hold this strong. And then I sweep with the back of my hand and open up to cross and let the staff unwrap. This is a good way to go into a lot of moves. So it's worth practicing this just for that kind of 1 beat, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Explain. So tucking over, out. What can you say?